Hello and welcome back to our Galactic Ruler tutorial series, Let's Teach Poorly. As always, music is by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. This might be a smidge loud, I don't know. It's a new one he came out with recently. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so we're doing tutorial 3, which is planetary controls. Let's go for it. Oh yeah, this is super loud, much louder than I wanted. Oh, and that's off. Let's not do that. There we go. It's gonna work. Okay, so chapter 3. Game speed is no longer restricted, which is nice. We're going to follow the given objectives and help messages to learn how to use the features of planetary control. What, do you need me to do something? There we go. Okay. So we need to begin construction of a research center to increase our research capacity. So I'm going to pause here real quick and show you. When you are starting the game, you'll probably have a 0 out of 2. That means the number of research slots that are being used and the number of research slots that you have. And you've got the researching, what's available to research, the known technologies, and then facility controls. Now, in order to add research capacity, you need to build a research center somewhere on one of your planets. You can do it from here, of course. You can build a facility at a governor suggested location, or you can put a facility offline and do a number of different things. You can also set your priorities so that the governor will automatically attempt to do research. And I don't know for sure if they will also build research stations, but they might. Yes, right here. Allows us to research more projects simultaneously, right? Increase research facilities. It allows the governor to do that on its own. But we're going to do this manually. It's asking us to begin construction of a research center. Research centers are done at, let's see, we're going to go to build here. They are urban. And so you have to do it at an urban location. And if I click anywhere here, it's going to build an urban core like this. It's going to build one of these. Well, not going to be a capital city, but it'll be a settlement of some sort. Alternatively, we can build it on an existing spot as long as you have a slot, one of the 6. So we're going to go and begin one right there. Done. Now be aware that researching uses energy, and Galactic Ruler, especially in the early game, just eats energy like it's freaking Cookie Monster on cookies. So you need to be aware that your research is going to be eating up a lot of energy, and maybe you don't want that many, or maybe you only want to be doing research in bits, in dribs and drabs. So it really just depends on what your energy status is. All right, toasters, refrigerators, and guns. Now we need to begin construction of 2 finished goods facilities. So finished goods are used by a bunch of different things. Mainly when you're not building something expressly, it is used by your population. And this tip here is going to tell us what is going on. So we go here for the supply chain, and we can see based on what we have selected, we can select over here as well, that finished goods are being built out of ore and electricity, energy, and then coming from production, which is the finished goods factories, to stock, and then coming from stock to the population and to the military. There will always be stock going to population no matter what, even if you're not building ships, even if you don't have any ship, like it'll always be going to population, and just be aware of that. I'm not 100% sure it's a bug, but there does seem to be a weird quirk going on now as of version 1078, where at some point along the way, your finished goods will start ticking up just 1, 1, 1, 1 over time. Even if you have your finished goods output at 0, for some reason it still ticks up. You're not getting imports. It's not happening that way. It just seems to be something going on there. Hopefully that will get adjusted or clarified in the next version when that comes out. I don't know when that will be. But as of the time of the production of this tutorial, that is an issue ongoing with version 1078 and presumably earlier. So we want to build 2 finished goods facilities. Finished goods are industrial. And because of that, again, if I build out here, it's going to build an industrial complex like this one here. Well, that's a military complex. No, I need this one here. Industrial complex. So, for example, we've got ore mines here, and so you have to have a central hub area already. Now, if I go over to, I can do this a number of ways, right? I can build it by this. Build industrial complex. No, that's not what I want. I want to build industrial finished goods, and I can do it anywhere, right? Except for places where I'm not allowed, where I don't have enough room or it's the wrong type of central complex. However, I can also do it from here and tell my governor to build wherever they think is best. If there is a slot available at one of the industrial complexes, the governor will be able to add to it. That way you don't have to go hunting for one. However, if there are no free slots at existing industrial complexes, this will not be clickable, because the governor will not build an industrial complex to build a finished goods factory. You have to build the finished goods factory on an industrial complex. The governor can't do it automatically. So what we're gonna actually do that. We're gonna go and do click 1. It's building one there. Click 2. It's building one over there. I don't know why I wanted to do it over there, but it could do it anywhere that there's a free spot. And as you can see from here, for example, there's 4 slots here on this industrial complex. Okay, Planetary Trading Hub. Now we need to build a spaceport. Now, one thing you'll notice when you start a game initially, the first thing the game is going to ask you to do, going to kind of nudge you to do, is build a spaceport. So typically, we won't have to build a spaceport expressly, except the first time you start the game, when your home world doesn't have one. If you're building an outpost on another planet, it automatically comes with a spaceport. There are very few circumstances where you're going to have to build one directly manually. So we're just the one is really the main one. It's just the first one that you have to build. So we're going to do that now. I'm going to build, and it's urban. Is it urban? No, it's military. Sorry. You build military spaceport. Now spaceports. Let's see. Is this one already filled up? Yes, it is. So spaceports technically can also be built on city urban tiles, not just military tiles, but they can be built on military tiles. So just keep that in mind, that if you are needing to build a spaceport, especially at the beginning of the game, probably your best bet is to put it right at the capital city, because when you do that, there will still be a couple of slots available. It won't be like this, where we built a finished goods and a research center in this spot. So let's go ahead and build the spaceport. As you see, we can build it anywhere except for the places where they're filled up or are the wrong type of complex. So it's going to build one right there. And you also can't build a second one in the same place as one that exists, I believe. Yeah, because if I tried to build another one here, it will refuse, because we already have one in construction. Okay, what's next? Balancing the resource economy. Okay, so we want to export some of our ore and trade it to bring in some energy. All right, so we have access to the market trades. By setting a target surplus, we can tell the planetary governor how much stock we want to keep. So we go over here, you go to your goods. In this case, he wants it to be ore. And then we go to this market trades tab. I'm going to click that off. And that's this here, the resource supply. This is sustainability level and your target supply. So right now, the sustainability level of this particular planet is self-sufficient. What that essentially means is that it's producing about as much as it's using. It's not too much over or under. It is self-sufficient. If you have a number of days in sustainability, that means that's how many days this particular resource will last if you completely turn off your output. As you can see, that wouldn't be the case here because it's using 260 per day and producing 286 per day. It's got a stock here, but I think the way it'll work, so I think what will happen over time is that, I don't know why it's actually self-sufficient right now, that's interesting. The stock at 31 million, I would expect this sustainability to be a lot higher, but all right, well, whatever it is. What we want to do is we want to export or import, right? So exporting is pulling to the left, importing is pulling to the right. When it goes to the left, you'll see limited export and then aggressive export, and to the right, it's the number of days of sustainability. Any number of days of sustainability, target supply, below the sustainability level essentially doesn't import anything because your sustainability is still higher than your target supply. If it goes over, then you will in fact start importing. But right now with self-sufficient as the setting, which like I said, is odd to me because we have this huge stock. I wouldn't expect that to be up that way. Maybe it is just for the sake of the tutorial. So we need to export some of our ore. So we need to bring it down to export. Or aggressive or limited or what have you, but I'm guessing they want it probably at export. And then we're going to set our energy level. Okay, now here we go. Here we have a proper sustainability. 168 days. And we're using 8 million, and we have a stock of 1.28 billion. So we will run out in 168 days. So I want to set this higher than 168 days, so we will in fact import. I'm going to set it to 10.9 years. Ta-da! There we go. Okay, now, this is where the tutorial is going to teach you something that you will probably never, ever do. Just pass through the tutorial in this section, just like do it, but don't pay attention too much. You won't need to pay attention. There are certain very, very, very limited circumstances where you might want to do this, but in almost all cases, it's still better to do it with automated market AI trading and so forth. What it's asking us to do is create a crate, add it to your orbital station cargo hold. And this would essentially be a way to manually lift goods from the surface of the planet up to space and then get a transport ship to come and pick it up and take it somewhere. But like I said, that's not really necessary because you can pretty much do all of that moving of stuff back and forth using either the merchant AI to trade out generally to the world, to the universe, or diplomatic actions where you're trading between factions. All of that will automatically handle all of this stuff that we're about to do manually. And there's really functionally no reason why you would want to do this manually. Okay. So we want to create a crate, add it to your orbital station cargo. So we need a spaceport. We've got the spaceport. So we're coming over here, market controls, and we're going to set our number of units. I think we're going to do this with ore. We're going to create a crate of 20, I guess. 21, 20, that doesn't matter. Transfer resource to crate in orbital station. Boom. We now have a crate in our orbital storage. While it is possible to move goods with crates, it is always, telling you, the answer is always simpler and faster to rely on diplomatic trades which are transported by the merchant AI or through diplomatic actions. Well, I mean, that is how it's transported through the merchant AI, but it's not just the merchant AI universal market. I believe this method is like a vestige of Supreme Ruler Ultimate and earlier, where maybe that was something that was done more regularly, but it just is not useful in Galactic Ruler. It's here because it's part of the game. I mean, it's part of the Supreme Ruler vibe, but honestly, it just doesn't really mean anything. Now, the thing that is meaningful is this little paragraph here. During combat, ships may be lost and leave behind a crate of goods floating in space. These can be captured by anyone. And so the way you do that is if you've got a crate that's just floating in space, which will show up on a hex, bring a transport, bring it over, pick it up, use a command to pick it up, take it back to an orbital station, and unload it onto the station, and then from there you can then transport it around. But you'll never really need to do this. You'll never need to do this. All right, planetary defenses. Now we want to add some land units. And you do that here through the Defense Department. You can see what we can build. So the options here, I'm not going to click these right now because there is a minuscule but existing chance that this will crash. The game right now in 1078, every once in a while will crash if you select one of these buttons on the planetary surface. And I'm only warning you so that you don't, like, when it happens, you're not like, oh my god, did I do something wrong? Or, you know, it happens. It's very, very, very rare. But it does happen. The devs are aware of it, and hopefully they'll be able to resolve the problem. So I'm just not going to touch it right now, but normally what you would be able to do, and of course we are currently set to the land anyway, but you could select this to kind of specify the type of unit that you want to make. Just be aware that if you're going to do that, it may be worthwhile saving the game just before you do, in the event that, you know, you get a crash. So I can click here on the plus to get my longer list. And we're going to make some land units. We got infantry, recon, tanks, artillery, air defense, transports. Now, water boys. I'll talk about them now, even though we're not really doing anything with them in this tutorial. Water boys transmit supply. They transport supply in order to help your armies take areas where you don't have your own supply level. Right, if I'm looking here, if I hit the S key is supply, right? So S is on. This is my supply zones of this planet. This is my home planet, so I'm pretty much guaranteed I have full supply. Well, not full supply, but supply everywhere. It's just various. Okay, so some of it is 0%, 29%, and so on. So okay, let's take a look. This is an area of zero supply. Let's say I had an enemy here, and if I take my land units, I take some infantry out here, and they start attacking, they will run out of energy, they will run out of ammo, and then they might just straight up die. Because there's nothing here to supply them. What you want to do is you want to bring a water boy. Multiple water boys if you can. You bring water boys along with your army, and they will supply based on the amount of stock they have in their cargo. Right? So their cargo capacity is 151, so they'll carry 151 points of supply, basically, and that'll be energy and finished goods will be ammo, right? So you need at least one, but probably a few water boys to kind of be joining your army and kind of milling around in the back lines to resupply your units if you are in unsupplied territory. Similar with transports in space, but water boys are the unit for transport on the ground. And it was confirmed to me by the devs that they named Waterboy after the movie. Okay. Land unit subduction queue. Let's go ahead and build some light infantry. 2 of those, 2 of those, 2 of those. Done. And we can only build one at a time. We're pending 5 because we only have one land construction facility. Now, if I want to build another one, I can do that from here, right? But it says no locations are ready for expansion. What I can do is I can go build military land production. There's also naval production and aircraft production. So if I wanted to, I could go boom and then click one here, creates a complex, or I could add one here, and then it will. Oh, in fact, I could do that now. Right there we go, because I have military complex selected. Oh no, actually, that's not what I want. I want land production. There we go. I could do that. Boom. There it is. Now it's going to build a land production facility there. And then once that is completed, I will have 2 slots available, just like with research. Okay. So now we want to deploy land or air units. Oh, and I clicked that message off too quickly. One thing you should note is that you will want barracks. Barracks are used for reserves and for essentially keeping your units in tip-top shape. So you want to have, let's see if I can find one here. There, yeah, there's a barracks right there. What does that look like? Where does it look like? That's that one. Yeah. Facility for reserving land units. You can't reserve units if there's no barracks. Just straight up, that's what you need to know. And reserving units is important because they will not eat up supply. However, they do lose their oomph over time, apparently. So just be aware that you don't necessarily want your units to be reserved constantly and then immediately go to war from there. You want to deploy them early and let them just kind of get their bearings a bit before you use them. Don't immediately deploy and then attack. I do that all the time because I'm dumb. Don't do what I do. Okay, reserve units. So we want to deploy some land or air units, and we do that from here. So we can... Oh, that's a selection. Whoops, we can deploy from here. Oh, that's all you need me to deploy one? Okay, fine, there we go. Deployed one. Now we're going to load some units to orbit. So, this is actually pretty useful. This you will do more regularly. This you'll do. You won't do the crates thing, but you will be moving your troops to and from orbit. So let me go ahead and pop a few more guys out. You can't send reserve units to orbit, but you can send deployed units. So we've got 4 deployed units here. Let me go ahead and select them all. And now we're going to go load to orbit and give orders. Done. Now they are in the orbital station. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. We are being asked to build an airfield, but I'm going to go up here first. And we're going to look at this. We've got orbital station, orbital storage, orbital shipyard. You don't need an orbital storage when you've got a spaceport, just FYI. I think I probably have mentioned that in a previous tutorial, but that is the case. You only need a station to maintain supply and to maintain territorial control. If you don't have a spaceport, which is to say if you haven't built an outpost, because remember, spaceports are automatically built if you build an outpost. So if you've got a lava world or a gas world, or you just haven't landed yet, you will need an orbital storage if you want to be able to maintain stock on that particular colony. If I go here and look at my station, you'll see this is the crate that I loaded up from. This is the 20 million tons of ore that I loaded from below. And then these are the units that I brought into orbit. And I could then bring a transport over and have them, well, no transport available right now, but I could have them load onto a transport or tell the transport to pick up things from the orbital station. What I would usually recommend, just so that you know exactly which items are being picked up by the transporter, don't give the transport the order to pick up. Instead, bring the transport to the planet, then go here and load it directly, explicitly onto the transporter. That way you can be 100% sure you know exactly which units or crates are being put into that transport. And then the reverse, I should mention, is once you've got a transport and you want to drop down, you send it here, and then you will select the transport and tell it to essentially offload to the station. And then from the station, oops, once they're here, they can then be deployed back to the planet. This button will send them to a transport that's on the same hex, and this will deploy them back down to the planet surface. Okay, positioning on our Air Force. Let's build an airfield. Build military airfield. Now, the thing about airfields is they are needed in order to, they need to land and refuel. So it says here, fixed wing craft require an airbase or airfield. Air bases take longer to build, allow craft to be put into reserves, and are required for aircraft production. Airfields are a quick way to extend flight range but cannot reserve units. So basically what you would be doing is you'd be using an airfield, just like, Guadalcanal or something in World War II, where they had to build landing strips real fast so that they could get things there, but you couldn't actually do much with that airfield. You couldn't reserve the units, like that. You couldn't really store the planes, and you couldn't really repair them well, that sort of thing, right? So what it means, of course, as far as the main distinction between an airfield and an airbase, is that when you've got planes sitting on an airfield or air units sitting on an airfield, they are still consuming supplies, right? Because they are not reserved. You cannot reserve them at an airfield. You can only reserve them at an airbase. So let's go ahead and build an airfield right there. That's a dumb place to put it, I'm just saying, because we probably have an airbase nearby, but that's okay. This is just the tutorial. Okay, now we're going to build. It says building a series of airfields is often beneficial to enhance the striking power of our air force. Each one also provides supply in the surrounding area, which is helpful for ground forces as well. If supply becomes an issue, build roads, rails, and supply depots to extend your reach. Cargo-capable aircraft can even fly over out-of-supply units to perform a supply drop. They will do this automatically for any unit in their zone of control. So essentially they work like water boys, but they are, of course, flying water boys. All right, now we're going to find a landable world to begin our expansion. Survey drone has been deployed. We need to find a hostile or breathable world. The only thing we can't use is a gas giant or a lava world. It has to be at least something that we can land on. So now we have our survey drone. We're going to go. I can tell you right now, I don't want to go here. That's a gas giant, and that's an asteroid. Over here, we've got, that's going to be a hostile but landable world. That is hostile and landable, but I mean, it's a moon, so it's got no atmosphere at all. I think the rest of these are asteroids, right? Yeah. And then over here is a lava world, which you can't land on. So it's going to have to be one of these two. And I'm going to pick the one that is not going to just want to completely kill me the moment I land, because it's got no air of any kind or anything like that. I can't look at the map until I have surveyed it, but I will show you what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and survey. All right, landable world. I'm going to pause this for a second, build an outpost to establish a new colony. So I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to have him survey that moon, and I'll show you the distinction. Done. All right, now I'm going to take him. Something you should be aware of, as you probably noticed in the last tutorial, where I basically did more than was necessary to try to teach supply issues. Turns out that you didn't really need to, because the Corvettes just needed to take the thing and didn't need to actually be able to get home again for the tutorial to work. So I'm going to show you this. This is the energy maximum. This is the current energy level. If he sits there and moves around and does some more stuff, he's going to use up energy over time. So in order to resupply him, he needs to go into a place where there is supply, and that's the S key to turn it on and off. You can see what it looks like where your supply is. This is your territorial line. This is your supply line, your supply zone. So if I take my survey drone and bring him back here, all right, before he does, I'm going to stop him right there, and we're going to take a look. He's at 69 energy. If I let him sit here for a second, 108. Okay, so if he moves off and does something else, explores some other area, if I have him go over there, for example, he'll again start to lose energy as he does. If you have a transport that is not, or well, has at least some free cargo space on it, automatically a transport that is not carrying stuff will be carrying supply. So if it looks like it's unloaded, like it's empty, it is in fact not empty. It actually has supply. When by empty, I mean it's not carrying something specific like a unit or a crate. They won't show as empty. They'll show as actually having a mass of cargo, but it won't be any discrete object. And that means that is the supply level that it has. So it will be able to supply units in the field as long as it gets adjacent to it. And over time, of course, that cargo will drop, but usually the transports have so much that they will definitely be able to get moved around supply a whole bunch of units before they have to come back and top up again inside a supply zone. Okay, so we want to build an outpost to establish a new colony. And you do that with a planetary engineer. We're going to take our planetary engineer. Oh, and the reason before we do that, I wanted to show you the two different types of planet surfaces here. This one is essentially moon-like, and we can tell because it is absolute trash. And one thing you can do is you can look at the elements and see agriculture, none. Metal, it's okay. Energy, none. This place can only extract minerals, can only extract ore, but cannot feed itself and cannot energize itself. So it will need a constant supply of agriculture and energy from your homeworld or some other colony in order to be able to really maintain an outpost here. That's not a good idea. Unless you absolutely need that amount of ore, I wouldn't do it. Xenope, on the other hand, agriculture, yeah. And the hotter, the brighter the light, the more you could build there. So this one, for example, you might only be able to build, say, 3 agricultural domes, whereas over here you can probably build 6. So that's just important information when you're scrolling around to see where you want to land, what you want to do. Metal ore. This place does not produce metal, so it will need an influx of metal all the time in order to be able to produce finished goods if you have a finished goods factory and so on. And then finally, energy. Oh, it's got a little bit. Got tiny, tiny bits of energy. When you're looking for a place to drop your outpost, you really want it to be near food and energy. Those are the 2 critical things. So we're going to go ahead and establish. That's not what I want to do. I want to do this. I'm going to go ahead and establish. Come over here. And we're going to control right click, or we're going to use build outpost. I'm going to control right click. That's my preferred way of doing it. Control right click, build outpost, and then it immediately brings you down here. And usually it gives you a place that it suggests you to drop. Don't trust it. Don't always trust it. Notice it's not a lot of energy here. Agriculturally, it's decent, but energy is better over in this spot. There's a few spots, and there's agriculture right here. So I think it might be a good idea for me to drop right here instead. So let me right click, engineer is en route, and then we cross our fingers that it works correctly, because there has been an issue ongoing with build 1078 and earlier, where sometimes it won't actually create the outpost. The engineer will just land and just sit there. If that happens, it's a very simple solution. You just go back to the planet surface, you select the engineer, and you control right click, build an outpost right on the same hex where it's sitting, and then it will do it. It will always make that will always work. So if it's not making it on the first go, don't stress out. But it did do it. So let me go down here, and that's going to ask me to trade with the colony. But we're going to, nope. We're going to go down in here and see, there it is. Now you can see outpost spaceport. So like I said, every time you build an outpost, it automatically creates a spaceport, which is your storage option for a planet, for a colony that has stuff on land. I therefore do not need an orbital storage. I only need an orbital station if I want to control the territory above the planet. So now we need to provide our colony with finished goods. It does have a little bit of finished goods at the start. It has a tiny, tiny amount of agriculture, no ore, no energy to speak of, and just enough finished goods to make 1 or 2 things. So we really do need to have more of that stuff sent to us. Now remember, if you've got a spaceport or an orbital storage, you can trade with your homeworld. The colony can trade with your homeworld. If you are missing either one of those, you don't have to miss both because you only need one. But if you're missing that, you will not be able to trade. It will say not available, not able to do it because you don't have a place to store it. So you do need to make sure that you have either a spaceport, which kind of automatic if you're dropping an outpost, or an orbital storage if you're kind of just dealing with a gas giant or a lava world, or you're not planning to land, like would be the case over here. I'm not planning to land there. I would create an orbital station and maybe mine these 2 asteroids, but I wouldn't bother landing because it's just going to be such a hassle to keep them alive. Okay, so we're down here, and we look up here, we can see this is the colony, that's the homeworld. If I pop up here, now that's my homeworld blazon. If I come over to this, click here, I can... Oh, sorry, I forgot. I don't have control of this territory up here, so I don't have my colony. There's no colony here in space. So if this were my colony in space as well, because I have an orbital station, then I'd get a little sub-blazon of the colony name, or the colony icon here, and I would be able to interact with it from this button in the diplomatic screen. But since I don't have it, I have to do it down here. But what's interesting is that every time you come down to the planet's surface, every time you come down to a colony surface, it automatically switches to the colony interface. You can see right there. If I'm up here, boom, it's my primary. Down there, colony. And then the panel colors change and everything, so it's very easy to tell, oh yeah, I'm working with the colony right now. Now, be aware that if you are in your colony mode, you can't trade with your colony because you are your colony. What you need to do is you need to flip the blazons. Click here, it flips, and now primarily we've got, well, the primary blazon is the homeworld, secondary blazon is the colony. And then we can go here, negotiate with the region, and now we have the negotiation screen. And the main thing we want to do is provide, they said provide colony with finished goods. We also probably want to give it some agriculture, but we're not going to do that. Normally what I'll do is I'll give it agriculture, energy, if I can, and finished goods, just so it has a leg up and then it can start building out from there. What you'll do is you go to this third tab for resources, go to your finished goods, and this is just to do this particular thing that the tutorial wants. Pick your amount, and it's going to be a lump sum, or you can have it happen over a number of days. For something like this, you basically want it as a lump sum. There's really no reason to do it as a number of days unless you're maybe doing multiplayer, and that's part of the way you want to kind of keep your enemies close and your friends close and your enemies closer, right? Just to be like, I'll give you some stuff, but it's going to take 3 months over a long time. You better be nice to me that whole time, right? Okay, so we're going to pick a lump sum, let's say 200K. You'll figure out as you play what value makes the most sense for you. Just depends on how much you are planning to build immediately. And then we come down here, add to offer. Now, we could, so we have the lump sum that we're giving. We could request stuff, say in resources or other things, but they don't have anything right now. So instead, we're going to request nothing. We're just giving them stuff. That is the fundamental way of making your colonies viable early on, is you just give them stuff and take nothing in return. Later on, if you've got like an energy colony, you will put energy on this side and then have them have your home world give them something in exchange, which will be an equal button. One of these equal buttons will be over on this side, and then you will basically create a deal that the colony is comfortable with in exchange for the thing that you're trying to get from it. So request nothing. Done. Now we're going to pick up the units from the orbital station. The colony is unprotected. We need to bring some guys down. All right, so that means we have a transport right here. He is in fact on the planet. He's like right here. He's hiding behind the planet, right? Like if I move him out here, he'll be over here. There he is. But I don't want him to do that. I want him to go back here. Nope, we're going back. Okay, so as long as he's in this hex, now it says here in the tooltip, transferring units can be done from either the orbital station or the transport ship. Each one has controls for moving goods back and forth. So, like I mentioned earlier, you could do this. Orbital transfer, and then select the planet. But you have no way of controlling what's being transferred. So, better to do this. Nope, no, not that. Better to click once, go here, pick your orbital station, double click, and now these are available. We're going to load all of these, Ta-da! Now they are. I'm not bothering with the crate, because why? Unless I want to bring ore over there, which I don't. All right, so we picked them up. And so now, if we look at our planetary transport, you'll see in the cargo, there we are. And it's carrying this much in tonnage out of 27,000 total available. And I think I may have misspoken a little bit earlier. Yes, I believe I did actually. I think the cargo will be zero, will still be zero if there's nothing loaded. It's actually drawing supply from energy, I think. And that's a very high number. I could be wrong about that. It's been a minute since I've checked. But either way, I think... Yeah, I feel dumb. I wish I had the right answer for you. I should know the answer. I think it may be that it is using supply from here, but either way, basically, bring your transports along with you and at least have one that's like empty so that it's got a whole lot of supply on board. That's basically what it comes down to, pretty sure. Drop your transport ship on your colony. So now there's two ways that I can do this, right? I can bring him over here, unload to the station, take it from the station down to the surface. Or I can drop. And by dropping, I can then pick a location for it to land. And once it's here, they're very, very slow. Transports are very, very slow. There. Okay, and now we need to unload our forces. So our transport's here. Now notice I can't select it, and that's because as soon as I come down, it switches to my colony. I have to flip because this is homeworld property. There. Now I can select it. For some reason I don't have a command here. Not a problem. All you got to do is control right click, unload. Ta-da! And there they are. Oh, I accidentally moved the transport as well. I didn't want to do that. There we go. These guys are here. All right. So now we need to meet our neighbors, discover another faction. Use your survey ship to start exploring the galaxy. So, survey drones cannot go interstellar. Only the surveyors can, capable of FTL to other star systems. Survey ships. Survey drones are in-system only. So we're going to pick you. We're going to come up here. And we're going to go explore Rignoil. Right, click, and then there he's going. He's about to transit over. Done. First new system reached. Yay. All right. Okay. Looks like there's aliens over here. We don't know anything about them, but we know they're over there. The rest of these don't look like they're inhabited. So we're going to take our guy. And we're going to go have him check them out. Now, let's see how much energy he's got. 540. He hasn't really moved yet. He was still in supply when he left. And he's in supply. He was in supply when he left, and so now he hasn't moved. So that's fine. Let's go and have him just a survey over here. He won't actually be able to, because as soon as he gets within within range of the territory, he will stop. But I'm going to pause real quick right here and show you 509 out of 540. At some point, he will drop down like below 100. At that point, it's worthwhile to just send him back to a place where there's supply so that you don't leave him stranded. But if you do leave him stranded, you can send a stellar transport over to top him up. Oh, maybe they're not in... Maybe they don't have control over space. Oh, it looks like they don't, actually. They're only on the ground. Interesting. They don't have control of their of space around them. That's fun. Normally, the surveyor would bounce off. It would say, I can't go there because that's not my territory. But okay, we've discovered another faction. Send a first contact offer to this newly encountered race. Okay, so easiest way to do that, you can come over here to the flags, and you can see the list of everything that you know about. So we have the Thorbats here. This is ours, the Terran Xenopes. And that's that other colony. So let's go ahead and chat with the Thorbats. We have no existing agreements. We're going to do this second one where we're going to do first contact. Double click and it brings up first contact for both. And then after a day tick, done. Yay! I'm going to play on briefly, just so I can show you one last thing. Thorbats, now that we have first contact, we can now then do a consulate, which is needed to be able to do a bunch of other things as well. Let's go ahead and do that. Diplomatic exchange successful. Now finally we go here. And now these treaties become available to try. You probably won't be able to do it because you don't have good relations. You'll need to kind of give them gifts and so forth to get that boosted up. But that is how you do it. You have to do it in 2 steps. First contact isn't enough. You do need to establish a consulate. And for some reason, and I haven't figured out exactly why, some places won't allow you to get a consulate. And I'm not sure yet exactly what's causing that. I don't think it's a bug. I think it really is just like proximity to the faction, what kind of faction it is, but and maybe it's a glitch. I don't know. I just don't have that information on hand, and I've never been able to figure it out. So anyway, that's the end of the tutorial. So we have one more to go for this little series. Thanks for watching. See you next time.